All right, welcome back. Lightning, more about lightning. Next, so we know now how a lightning strike occurs. Let's talk a little bit about some other things. Like, for example, let's talk about what a lightning rod does. Before Ben Franklin was the first person that actually figured out that lightning is actually dealing with electricity. Before Ben Franklin, people thought that lightning was actually fire in the sky. It was like a big giant campfire in the sky, which kind of makes sense because if lightning hits something, a lot of times it can start on fire because lightning actually is about 5 times as hot as the surface of the sun. So it's really, really, really hot. So if the lightning strikes a tree, a lot of times that tree could start on fire. Like I said, Ben Franklin was the first person that actually figured out that lightning is actually electricity and not fire. What he did was a really stupid experiment. Don't do it. Where he flew a kite in the middle of a thunderstorm, and he saw that sparks jump from the key to his wrist, and he realized that those sparks were the same sparks that you get if you shuffle your feet and you zap somebody. So he was the first one that figured out it is actually electricity. He did not get struck by lightning. Had he got struck by lightning, Ben Franklin would have been dead. They typically, if you get struck by lightning, which you guys should have seen in the reading, most of the time what happens is it stops your heart. And a lot of times people can get revived if they have CPR, but they may have, autonomic issues as far as like, they may have struggles with their breathing and their heart, stuff like that. Let's go back to lightning rods here and with Ben Franklin. But we have our thunderclouds here, and let's have our colonial town. So here is my colonial town. So there is my colonial town. Okay. Typically, the tallest building in the colonial town was, yes, you guessed it, it was a church. So I have my church right here in my colonial town, and all these buildings are going to get covered with positive charge. And again, they get covered with charge because of induction. Well, guess which building is going to be most likely to get struck by lightning? Yes, the church. So lightning comes down and strikes the church. Well, they kind of looked at this as a sign from God, so that's kind of a bad thing if there's churches getting struck. But luckily, Ben Franklin, being the smart guy that he was, came around and he realized that lightning is electricity, so he invented the lightning rod. So he put a little lightning rod on this, and then this is a wire that goes into the ground. The primary purpose of a lightning rod, and this is going to sound weird because most people are confused about this. The primary purpose of a lightning rod is actually to prevent the lightning strike from occurring. You might think, well, it's going to attract the lightning to the house. Why would I put anything on my house that's going to attract the lightning to it? It's not. You're not. The answer to that is you're not. The primary purpose of a lightning rod is to prevent the strike from occurring. The way it actually does that is because it's sharp and pointy, the charge tends to go up this sharp and pointy thing because it's trying to get close to the negatives, and the charge actually leaks off the building. So the charge, you can actually think of the charge as leaking off the building. So that's going to make my building less positively charged. If my building is less positively charged, it's less likely that it's actually going to get struck. So it's more likely that the lightning would strike a building around it and not the church. Hooray, God loves our church again. Okay, so lightning rod, the primary purpose is to leak the charge off and make the building less positively charged. Therefore, it's going to make it less likely to strike the building. Okay, so lightning rods, I'm going to pause this, and then we'll talk about why you're safe.